This week's scenario is two fronts and does not consist of the Killbox Artifice. It consists of two zones, the friendly zone being able to be dominated for 1 CP, the enemy zone controlled for 1 CP and dominated for 2 CPs, and then the enemy objective may be destroyed for 1 CP once per player. The objectives have defense 5, armor 18, and 15 damage boxes and have the fuel special rule. While the objective is not contested, friendly models beginning their activation within 4 inches of this model can run or charge without being forced or spending focus. Today I'll be bringing my epic Madrak list. Here soon I'm actually going to be locking myself into only 3 lists in preparation for TempleCon 2015, just grinding out the same 3 lists so that it becomes muscle memory. This specific list really kind of emphasizes around lots of guys on the table with reach. That allows me to a lot of board presence, allows me a lot of reach during the feed turn, and then it's backed up by 3 light beasts with range elements, a strength buff, and Storm Troll to deal with some high defense models.
Hello, this is Iron Lich W, and this week is the debut of my Gatorman army. And I decided to start off with a bang and play Jaga Jagga, or Jaga-Jaga, however you want to pronounce it. I included 3 heavies, 1 of each type, just because I'm not sure how she runs best, so I just try and take an all-comers list, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to narrow it down to a better heavy beast layout. And then I kept 2 posses. I hear 3 is best for 50 points, but I decided to try and go with 2.
Troll deployment. So I'm going first because I want to have the ability to get up the field. I want to have the ability to fill up the stone. With all of Madrak's Fury, since there's only Fury 5, I want to be able to dump as much as I can, or everything I can, into the stone on turn 1, and then have the ability to fill it up again turn 2 to increase its range. It's one of the better ways of running him, in my opinion, just to be able to just dump and not worry about any major shooting. Since I don't know how my opponent's going to deploy, and it's kind of a central scenario, I'm basically going to deploy with warders on each side for zone control contesting, Fennblades split into 2 units of 6, 1 on either side of Madrak and his crew. I'm putting the Light Troll on the right hand side. Madrak will be putting Far Strike on him and hopefully taking out the objective, and then I'm putting the Impaler on the other side with the Storm Troll so that the Impaler can Far Strike the Storm Troll and potentially get Electro Leaps or anything like that, or shoot the objective as well.
For deployment of the Gatorman army, I started off by putting the first posse unit down near the center, but just off to the right of the objective. And then I put the second posse unit down near my zone on the far left. I then put the Ironback Spitter in the middle, as well as having a Witch Doctor next to each posse unit, of course. Then I had Jagga Jagga and most of my heavies in the middle, as they would eventually go forward on turn 1 and then spread out. And then as I was putting down other markers, I decided that I wanted the Wrastler at the end, and this is where I was going to put Jagga Jagga. I was going to try and dominate my opponent's zone if he gave me the opportunity to.
Troll's turn 1. So looking at his deployment, my opponent has made it very clear that he is going to be gunning for the red zone in an effort to dominate or potentially control it. So I've committed myself to really only defending that zone. I'm going to shift my Fennblades more towards the green zone and use the combination of Fennblades and Warders and Pyre to have a strong presence on the green side of the board, closest to the screen. So basically just running through some of the generic setups. The Warders run just because they're a speed 8, they're going to need 2 turns to get anywhere up the field. And then I'm just advancing up everything, as I mentioned in deployment, everything's going to go into the stone. I'm not even going to bother activating the stone because I'm far enough back that, except for the Croak Hunter and maybe a random deviation from the Ironback, there's no real damage that's going to be coming towards my army that I need to be concerned about armor. And if it does, it's only going to be 1 or 2 trolls that end up dying from it. 3 maybe if everything works out in my opponent's favor. But I do... I'm not too terribly worried about it, so I'm not going to worry about putting up the armor buff. The Fennblades are activating. As I mentioned, I'm going to be eventually pushing towards the green zone, but I'm not necessarily wanting to expose that right now. So I move everything up and get preparations, and I put a couple of the Fennblades towards the red zone because I want to provide an option for my opponent to trigger Vengeance. I'm going to use Vengeance in a way to somewhat redeploy on turn 2. And also to give an option for if there are a couple Fennblades on that side, maybe provide a screen for my warders. It's all really going to be based around making sure that that drummer stays near the leader so that the range is complete, and then the light beasts just advance up and get into position for the following turns. They're going to have to wait for the dudes to get out of the way for them to draw proper lines. And that's my turn.
For Gator's turn 1, I'm looking at how my opponent has unpacked his army and trying to figure out how I want to approach it. This is only my 6th or 7th game with minions, and I'm still learning it, the little intricacies. But I started by activating the Feralgeist and moving him to the furthest corner of my zone. He's going to sit there and contest it all game, maybe hop into a beast. And then I activate the far unit of Gatorman Posse and had them run. They dirge a mist and then run. And then I went ahead and activated the Bull Snapper and had him move up and cast his Animus of Spiny Growth on Jaga-Jaga or Jaga-Jaga, however you want to pronounce it, and give her +2 armor. Then the Wrastler, I rattled him for 1 and had him run a whole 5, even though he could have walked and rattled. But I feel I get more done if I run. Then I activated my Warlock. She casted Escort on herself, and then she moved up and cast Grave Ruin on the Croak Hunter. Grave Ruin gives a Croak Hunter +2 defense and Poltergeist. And then she cast Spiny Growth on the nearest Gatorman on the front line that she could reach. Then once she was done, I went ahead and activated the Spitter, and had the Ironback Spitter advance, and just because he's got 12-inch range, I took a pot shot at Fennblade. I got lucky on my dice roll because it did deviate to the 1 and went 5 inches, so it got a lot more than I thought I was going to get. It ended up clipping 2 of the Fennblades. And I managed to kill one of the Fennblades and get corrosion on the other. Once my opponent checked their armor values, we realized that I actually did enough to force a tough check on the first one. So I took the tough check, he failed, and then he took the tough check on the second one and passed that. And if you look real closely, you'll notice I'll steal my opponent's dice thinking it's mine, which I later give it back to him. And then after the Ironback Spitter is done, I activate the Witch Doctor that's going to be following the far posse, and he moved up and cast Zombify on them. Once he's done, I went ahead with the Swamp Horror and had him run up. With Escort, he can now move 10 inches a turn, which is amazing. I'm so used to Krielstones that moves a base of 6, so he's pretty slow. Then I go ahead and activate the near side Gatorman Posse, and I kind of spread them out a little bit. I want my opponent to be able to charge 1, that way I could get the rest of his Fennblades into charge range of my Gatorman Posse. And then I activate the Witch Doctor, and he casts Zombify.
Troll's turn 2. So he's advanced up, and everything's kind of playing out how I wanted it to. I did get one of my Fennblades dead, which will trigger my Vengeance. Wasn't expecting to lose 2, but I'll take what I get. So I get my Vengeance move, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use this as a semi-redeploy. There's no way any of them are going to be in range to actually get attacks off on any of the minion models. So this is just 3-inch move, 3 inches of free move to get me to where I want to go. So I start pushing my models over, getting them prepared for going after the Gator Posse that's in the green zone. That one Feralgeist that's in the zone is going to be a pain in my side, and the only person who can really deal with it is E-Madrak. So I'm looking at potentially doing a turn 3, clear the zone with Fennblades or Warders, and then E-Madrak double axing the Feralgeist, and then basically trying to go towards dominating for 2, getting the objective for 3, and then jamming him out of the zone so that I either dominate in his turn for the win, or have just very few things to clear out and then win on scenario in the top of 4. In the far zone, because of the Gator's ability to charge living models, I do not want to overcommit my Warders to the zone, so I only have 2 of them toe up. And then I'm looking at the table, and that Grave-Winded Croak Hunter is going to be a pain because he's got such a high defense. So I'm kind of looking at the fact that since he didn't move him last turn, the Gator is standing relatively close to him, so I far strike the Storm Troll, advance him up into the zone, and because I didn't get quite as much distance, I was worried about shooting the Gator that is closer to the screen, so I end up targeting the further one and hoping for 2 leaps so that I hit the primary target, hit the next Gator, and then turn around and hit the Croak Hunter. Unfortunately, I miss, so that doesn't come to bear. The other thing is I wanted the Storm Troll a lead of the Warders because he's living. My opponent will be able to charge him, but the Storm Troll I don't think will commit to the game as much as the Warders will, and I would like to potentially trade out the Gators charging the Storm Troll, and then the Warders potentially dealing with the 2 or 3 Gators that come in to kill the Storm Troll. Because they're not going to be able to get their half inch, they're only going to be able to get their reach attack. He may have to commit 3 to kill the Storm Troll, and in which case the Warders can turn around, charge the 3 that come in and kill them. So I go through a couple of more activations, and basically what I'm doing is I'm putting Blood Fury on the Fennblades. I call them Fennblades, I don't call them Fennblades, so if I say Fennblades, I mean the Fennblades. And then I also put, with the one trailing Fennblade that was in the back, I put Warcry up from the Fellcaller, and then pop my mini feat. Because they've got Dirge of Mist up, I need to use the mini feat so that I don't fail my check as soon as I activate. And I basically just go through and using proxy bases or dead Fennblades as proxy markers, and basically just line up my charges going for max melee range. Not looking to jam him out of the zone because I want him to commit Warders or Gators in so that my follow-up turn I can charge them with the Warders, but just enough that I could actually get through and maybe kill those 2 Gators that are in there by basically getting in with the Blood Fury. Gives me the additional dice, so these guys are charging Weapons Masters for this turn. And then at mat 8, because of the Fellcaller, I have a good chance of hitting that defense 13. So I'm really kind of hoping that I can kill out 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of the Gators. I think 3 is probably a bit of a stretch, but advancing through and just basically kind of moving things up, getting things away. I have 1 tailing Fennblade in the back, and that's because I want to use a Chronicler after this activation in order to put Tail of Mist up, so that way any of the Gators that kill my Fennblades will be knocked over, and then my Warders will have that much easier of a time, or Vengeancing moves will allow me to finish off any of the Gators that kill the lead ones. So I'm going through, and I end up doing some damage. I think I managed to get 3 of the Gators down to 2 of them down to only a single hit point, and then 1 of them down to 4 or 5 hit points. But I don't get the kills that I'm looking for, which is a little frustrating, but you know, it is what it is. Activating the stone, just advancing up. I am doing no continuous and bubble wrapping them around E-Madrak in case he has to Grim Salvation out. There's the Chronicler. He's putting up Tail of Mist on the Fennblades. And then I will follow suit with the Pyre Troll, just getting into position. I want him ready so that E-Madrak can far strike him next turn and he can shoot the objective. The Kithkar is going up, so that way I have the tacticians so that my vengeance moves I won't get in my own way. And then the warders basically just advance up or run and get prepared for the counter charge for whatever kills the Fennblades next turn.
For Gatorman turn 2, I start off by upkeeping both Escort and Gravewind, and I go ahead and drop all the other effects that end. And then I start the turn by activating the Snapper. I decided that everything's a bit crowded, so I go ahead and move him back. And then once I eventually do that, I go ahead and cast Animus on Jaga-Jaga again, so she has Spiny Growth. Then I go ahead and look at her control range. I decide that this has got to be her feet turn. Her feet turn being that if I kill enemy models, I gain control of them, and they have Dark Shroud on them, which is amazing. But they stick around, I can move them, but I can't attack with them. So I advanced Jaga-Jaga up as far as I could. Then I go ahead and pop her feet. And then once I do that, I go ahead and cast Gravewalk on the far side Posse Gators, because I know that I'm probably going to want to go after that Storm Troll so it doesn't do too much more shooting into my melee lines. And then I sit on 2 Fury. Then I activate the Croak Hunter this time because I remembered, have him move up, and he just throws one of his spears at the nearest Fennblade. He managed to hit the Fennblade, and I apologize as I appear to be rolling my dice off the screen. I force a tough check, but the Fennblade passes a tough check, which does make me a little sad. That's why I activate the Ironback Spitter, decide to advance him, and to launch an AoE at that Fennblade, because I'm like, I have to get as many of these guys stuck in my feet so I can block his lines. I do manage to hit, I boost, make sure, because you never know. And I force a tough check, so I'm like, yeah, I control this guy. And then because he passed a tough check previously, he's knocked down, so that kind of made my spirits sink a little bit. But I have one guy nonetheless. So I go ahead and activate the Leafy Posse after that, or I call them the Broadleaf Posse, but the Farside Posse, and they take the order 2 charge/run. So the front 2 charge the Storm Troll. Because he's a living model, they get Bloodthirst, which is plus 2 inches of movement. So I get 2 of them within their reach range, and then the rest kind of spread out and try not to get countercharged. Both Posse members managed to hit the Storm Troll, however, they don't knock out any of the aspects because he's armor 18 from the Krielstone. But I have to get him up there, he's no longer shooting, at least not right away. Knock out some more effort on his behalf. And then I just go ahead and activate the Wrastler, and he moves up just to get in position to block anything that may get to Jaga-Jaga. So once the Wrastler is done, Witch Doctor advances and zombifies the Farside Posse. Then I activate the Swampor, have him move up. I thought he was going to be close enough to where you get multiple Fennblades, but he's only in range of 1. Manages to kill that 1, so I'm happy. And then because I kill him on the first go-around, I get to move him and start jamming my opponent's lines and being just generally annoying. So it excites me. I rile him for some fury because I need to make sure I have 7 at the end of all my beast activations. Then I go ahead and activate the Nearside Posse and just have them advance to do some attacking on the Fennblades. At this point, I still don't have a general strategy of how I'm going to get to E-Madrak. At this point, I think I'm still figuring out Gators and trying to see if they can wear down using brute force. So I start attacking with the Posse, and it's an interesting reaction because Jaga-Jaga's feet actually takes control of them once they're boxed. So here's Tragedy, which is on the Fennblades, doesn't trigger until they're destroyed, so my Gators are destroying the Fennblades, however they are not getting knocked down because it doesn't activate Hero's Tragedy. And after the Nearside Gators activate, they kill 3 of the Fennblades, and I'm able to put them in generally annoying spots. And I'm trying to make sure that the that far back unit of warders doesn't get a charge on anybody. Then once the gators are done, I activate the Witch Doctor and I zombify the near side gators.
Troll's turn 3. So I have to say the feat was kind of an interesting scenario. The fact that it didn't trigger Tale or Hero's Tragedy effects on the gators was something I did not see coming. And it definitely changed up my potential of counter-striking, not only because the gators are still standing, but also because now I have these models that are in my way, these undead solos that are in my way and causing issues with charge lanes, with potential free strikes. Because they are undead minion solos now, they do not benefit from Blood Fury that is still on the Fennblade unit, but it's the -2 from the Dark Shroud that they're getting is still a huge concern that I have to worry about. So I'm activating and I'm going to use my Vengeance attacks to potentially get rid of these evil clones of my Fennblades, trying to kill out some of them. I actually end up not maximizing my potential. I put a couple warders on the same target, and in actuality I should have spread them out. With Blood Fury they can kill, and I just have to worry about the tough rolls, so I was a little too overcautious with how I spread things out, but I basically go through and I kill up some of the evil clones. So I'm looking at, my original plan was to clear the green zone and kill the objective using my feet to give me all the additional attacks I need, additional shots. But first, a couple things I need to deal with. I want to free up the Lightning Troll so that I can use his shot and Electroleap to potentially deal with that Deathwind Croak Hunter. Because of his high defense, I need to kill him with an Electroleap, not with a direct shot. But I need to disengage the Storm Troll, so I'm most likely going to be using the warders to do that. So I activate the warders over in the red zone, and basically what I do is, as I do charges, 2 warders per gator, ideally 2 Weapon Master charges, should be enough redundancy that I kill out the 2 gators that are locking up the lightning troll, so that he in turn can move and not have to worry about any free strikes from them. So I activate them and I charge them in, and I managed to kill 1 of the gators as a result of the charges, and it's the gator closest to the screen, to the bottom of the screen. And then the other set of 2, the first one misses the gator and the second one hits but doesn't do enough damage to cause the tough check. So my Storm Troll is going to have to take a free strike in order to get the shots off. So I can use him, I can disengage him from the gator, even use him to potentially block charge lanes to the 2 warders at the bottom of the red zone. To try and save them, because now I've got 2 warders that are clustered together, which is something that the gators will be able to abuse through charging and then using half-inch and reach attacks to spread out amongst the warders. So I do activate the Storm Troll. He does take the free strike. He doesn't take much damage from it. None of the systems are knocked out, so he's still functional. And then ideally what I want to do is I want to target one of the gators in order to leap. So that I can leap over to the Croak Hunter, since that leap is potentially boostable. I was originally going to target the gator in front of me, but I decided that I would actually target the larger beast behind the gator, which was a bad call on my part. I went for the larger beast because he has a lower defense, but the problem is that there was a gator closer to the larger beast than the Croak Hunter was, so it actually deviated. The Electroleap went in the wrong direction, and did not take out the Croak Hunter. I should have stuck with my initial target of shooting that troll that was right, or that gator that was right in front of me. So here I'm acting my Fellcaller, and I'm advancing it up because I want to put Far Cry on my Fennblades. So there's a Fennblade right in front of me. I'll just advance up, and I will use my ability on him. Crap, that's not my Fennblade. That's my opponent's that's my opponent's evil clone. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to put it. The orders that are on that side of the table have already activated, so I can't put it on them. That none of the other Fennblades are within range for me to actually get it onto them. So that was unfortunately a wasted Fellcaller activation. Stone activates. I'm doing the +1 strength. I like activating the stone before the caster because the focus that I spend, I can actually replace when the caster activates, so that I can keep topping it off and getting up there. Activate the Runebearer. Runebearer does some on its exaltation. Now, here's a little bit of actual misplay on my part. Or I'm sorry, the Impaler puts Far Strike on the Pyre Troll because I want to use a Pyre Troll to shoot the objective. The Pyre Troll is going to basically, I'm going to shoot the objective, light it on fire. I'm dice off 6 on the objective, so I'm not going to be able to kill it in one shot, but if I use the feat, then I can actually turn around and get 2 shots off of it, plus the fire, and then potentially kill it in my turn 4, since if it doesn't die out to the 2 shots in the fire prior. Not to mention, if somehow, some luck of miracle, my Storm Troll manages to live next turn, I can shoot with that as well. That being said, my Impaler is now full because he had 1 Fury left over because I had Fury issues last turn. I didn't spend enough Fury that I needed to. So my Impaler is now full, but I still have 2 other beasts, so if they could potentially stay alive, I'll be fine. I need to protect them in some way, and since the Storm Troll is right out there, I more need to protect the Pyre than anything else. Here's a misplay on my part. I actually activate Madrak because I want to put Blood Fury on the Kithkar to get more work out of him, but by doing so, I have now thrown out my feat turn as it comes for clearing out the zone, because I need to have all of the models in place when the feat happens, and since I have not activated anything in that green zone yet, I can't use the feat this turn. I'm going to have to delay the feat till next turn. That being said, that doesn't mean that I can't clear out the zone. Most of my opponent's heavies are relatively over by the red zone, so the only other thing that's over on this side that I'll have to deal with in the following turns is the Feralgeist, which Madrak will deal with, and then the Squid. So I'm going through the activations with the Fennblades, getting them to charge in. A lot of these Gators already have damage on them, so if I clear out the 3 that are already hurt, then I only have 2 in the Witchdog Croc to deal with. And that will just be a case of charging Warders and then feat turn. I'm looking at shifting my win scenario from getting 3 this turn to, unfortunately, because of my bad play with Madrak and his activations, I'll have to wait until I get my 3 points in turn 4 and then win at the top of 5. So Kithkar goes in, just trying to deal some damage on the Gators that are there, trying to get those guys out of there. I only managed to actually kill one of them. And then I just get the Warders ready because the Fennblades that are there now are going to be dead. Not to mention, I've still got one of those doppelganger Fennblades in the way.
For Gators turn 3, I am amazed. Once again, the Gators have shown more durability than I have, and I'm talking about the Posse members, as they ate a lot more than I thought they would. And I still have 4 of each unit surviving. So I start my turn by taking all my fire checks. Both the fire goes out on the Swamp Whore as well as the objective. And then I upkeep Escort and Gravewind, as usual. I first start by activating the Croak Hunter and having him throw at the Pyre Troll. Well, the one thing I noticed is my opponent left his, I forget the name of the beast, but the one far back, the Impaler, is full. And the 2 trolls I can get to are not. So I'm thinking if I can get to the 2 trolls and get rid of them both, I'll be able to knock out his transfer targets. So I do 4 points of damage to the Pyre Troll with the Croak Hunter, and Snapper goes ahead and casts his Animus Spiny Growth on the Wrastler. Once I activate him, of course. So the whole time I'm thinking, I knew my opponent moved his Warlock a little too closely, but I just couldn't figure out how I was going to get there. At least not with some kind of fail-safe plan to make sure I didn't get my Warlock killed in action if I failed. So I tried to start with the basics. Once I felt I had a reasonable idea or some kind of momentum going, I went ahead and went with the far side Gators. If I'm going to do anything, I first have to knock out the Storm Troll and the Pyre Troll. So I do activate the Farside Gators, and I do Cold-Blooded instead of Dirge of Mist. Cold-Blooded allows them to reroll attack dice roll on living models. So they charge the Storm Troll. I was able to get 3 out of the 4 on the Storm Troll. I couldn't get the 4th one because he was engaged by a ward and I didn't want to eat a free strike. So the 4th guy just buries himself further into the warder line. So of the 3 trolls that attack the Storm Troll, they do hit, and they do a good amount of damage, and they kill him. My opponent had decided to take a free strike during his turn, which allowed me to put more damage on the Storm Troll and knock out an Aspect. So he took more damage than on the previous turn, so I was able to capitalize off it and kill the Storm Troll. I next moved on to the Grass Posse, because I was figuring at this point maybe I was going to be able to bring the Ironback Spitter around, push the Swamp Whore, and hopefully have the distance to get directly to E-Madrak with the Swamp Whore. But doing that, I realized that I would leave the Pyre Troll alive still. So I was torn between 2 sides. So I decided I was going to activate the nearest posse, have them shuffle about, and just start attacking the Fennblades. At this point, I was just trying to clear charge lanes and get rid of the Fennblades too, because I didn't really have anything that was going to stop the warders from coming around the next turn. So as I get my shuffling done, I went ahead and just started rolling dice. The most critical, I did Cold-Blooded with this unit as well. The most critical of the attack rolls was going to be the one on the warder, the Fennblade that was right next to the bridge, as he was in the charge lane. So with Cold-Blooded, I missed first attack, but hit him with the reroll, and he failed his top check, and I had my charge lane open. I did throw out some additional attacks onto the Fennblades with the other Gators just because they were there, and I was able to knock one down, and then 2 of the Gators managed to kill the Fennblade solo. I forget his exact name, but they killed him something good. So after the Gators were done, I realized that I had my own models in the way. So being that that's how it was, I went ahead and activated the Witch Doctor. And I had the Witch Doctor advance. I was going to try and do a sack strike on the Pyre Troll, but I was not confident that I got the Witch Doctor in its command. Or I got the Pyre Troll in the Witch Doctor's command. The Witch Doctor only has a command of 8, so I'm like, that's probably not happening. So I do sacrifice the posse member that's furthest from the camera, and that clears up the charge lane for the Swamp Whore, and I just take the damage roll on the Fennblade that's nearby. So I now have a charge lane that's open. After doing some evaluation, I decided that's only so much I can do, so I activate the Swamp Horde and I charge. I charge to the end of the Swamp Horde's range because I was going to try and drag the Pyre Troll closer. But had I realized that I got a free charge from the objective, I could have done so much more. I would have had one more attack. Anyhow, the Swamp Horde does hit with his first tentacle. He drags the Pyre Troll in closer, and he starts trying to beat on him at POW 12. Tentacles aren't going to do a whole lot to an Armor 18 beast. And I got myself caught on fire because I hit him. So I hit off all my tentacles, do very little damage, and then I attack him, start attacking him with the beak, my most powerful attack, and I start missing all those attacks. I miss him with the first two, and I'm like, oh, this is not going well. But I hit him with the third one, and I managed to do enough to drop the Pyre Troll to 2 life. So if he were to receive a transfer from Madrak, then he would only get 2, and the rest would go back to Madrak. So I activate the Ironback Spitter, I advance him behind the Wrastler, pay 1 for the power attack, 1 to boost, and I do a 2-handed throw directly at Madrak. So I hit successfully, and then I pass the necessary strength check. So yes, I may have hurled my Wrastler at a wall, but I'm a Gator player. I'm allowed to do that. And what you see here is there's actually like 3 or 4 of us discussing the 2-handed throw rule and how to properly apply it. And in the end, we essentially said, this is what we're going to go with. We have to go back and check the rules, but this is what we're going to go with for now. So I successfully throw my Wrastler. He goes 2 inches to the direction of 6, and he's knocked down. And he does take a point of damage from the Spiny Growth. Hindsight, not a great idea to put Spiny Growth when you're going to throw your own models. So at this point, there's only 2 more models I figure I need to activate. Just to go ahead and get from point A to point B. Go ahead and activate... Oh, and I remember to do my damage on the Ironback Spitter as well. 1 point to 2. Jaga-Jaga activates, and she will go ahead and move up her 6. She will cast 1 for Rise, and then cast 2 for Elasticity on the Wrastler. And she will go ahead and sit on 2. Then I go ahead and activate the Wrastler. I decide to walk him because he's got the distance and I want the extra Fury. So I walk him over there, and then once he gets there, he just does Death Roll, which is a special attack. In which case, both models are knocked down and the first damage roll, Death Roll, would be boosted. So I hit with the Death Roll, and I end up doing 7 points of damage to Madrak. My opponent likes to transfer, and he kills the Pyre Troll, and 5 of the 7 damage returns to Madrak. I buy a second attack, in which I do 4 damage to Madrak, and I'm starting to get worried, because I like to have some kind of buffer, and it's going to go down to my last dice roll. So on my 3rd damage roll, it does 7 points to Madrak. And on the very last dice roll, it does 6 more points, forcing a tough check, which my opponent does not pass. So it was a very close game, with victory going to Gatorman and the Flying Circus trick.